Hi, everyone, and welcome to a podcast like episode, I guess, of me talking about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I should start off with saying that I do not remember the last time that I read a book so quickly. It it has been so long since I actually sat down and was glued to a book. And I actually think that the last time that this happened with an actual, physical book was during when I was reading The Hunger Games when I was like 13 or 14, which is super interesting to me because when I saw a new movie came out, first off, I had no idea that there was a prequel. To me, it was just so wild that there was a prequel and I hadn't heard about it and I didn't read it, and actually found out that it came out in what 2020 or something, 2019, and I had no idea about it, and the movie was like immediately being made. And so the teenager version of me, of course, sat down and was like, why not try to read it? You might like it. And I kind of it was interesting because I really didn't think that I would like it. I thought that I would just put it down like any most fiction that I read. I just don't really I'm not really attracted to. And so I sat down and I was thinking to myself, it's worth starting. It's always worth starting a book. And I've been really, really keen on not allowing myself to feel bad if I don't finish something, because if I didn't finish something, that means that I didn't like it enough, and that's fine. And I really recommend the sort of habit to everyone else as well. And so I sat down and I started reading, and then I didn't even realize how, but I was 50 pages in. And it was just so unexpected to me because how did I go from, making it really, really hard for me to finish a book, which is interesting to say because I've been really good at finishing books this year, comparatively, right? And how did we go from just like not being able to really get into a book to whatever this was, because I was just reading it at lightning speed. The book was really, really good. I It was very self-aware. It was beautiful. It was it was just I so when I finished it, I started making a lot of audio recordings. It was like 12:15 a.m. I was very frustrated. I was upset that the book had ended, and I saw some parts inside TikTok, in TikTok, I guess, on TikTok. Oh my god. And I told myself that, oh, I'm gonna, now if I read the book, I'm gonna know that all these parts happen and I don't know how to feel about it. Surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like I was sitting there and just knew every single thing that was gonna happen. But surp- I was like surprised, and I was nicely surprised. What's the word for it? Pleasantly surprised. There we go. Um, because at the end of the day, I sat down and I just really, really got into it without really expecting anything. There were certain things that I knew would happen, but I didn't know that they would happen directly, right? So, Sejanus dying, my friend spoiled me, who had never even read the previous Hunger Game books. Um, she spoiled me that Coriolanus killed him. And I was waiting for that to happen, but I thought it would happen directly, right? But it didn't. He killed him, but in an entirely different way. So I was pleasantly surprised at things that I didn't expect. And I forgot to add this at the start, but I was a very big fan of the Hunger Games when they were first coming out. I was around 13, 14. And I remember I was on vacation with my family in Italy, and I think it was the last book actually, and I just started reading it and I couldn't put it down. And my parents were both frustrated and very proud of me because I was nonstop reading a book, but also I was, being a little shit because I wouldn't put it down and I wouldn't look around what was going around me. I was in Italy. And so by the time that I got to the third movie, especially I think the second part of the third movie, which it totally flew out of my brain that they did a second part. I don't know why I remembered that it was just the one part. I just barely cared, right? So that's why I was like, there's no way. Even the younger me was kind of just done with the whole thing. I don't remember how old I was when that last one came out. Probably like 15, 16. I don't remember what year it was. And so for me, the fact that I just got so attached to this book immediately was so interesting. And of course, TikTok had a role in it. If it wasn't for TikTok and if it wasn't for that specific Tom Blythe edit that I saw with my friend, I don't think I would start reading it because to me, I have to get really attached to a compelling character to finish any piece of media. I don't know why. The best and most recent other example for me would be Crowley from Good Omens because I love Good Omens and I got into it first in 2019 and I loved it, and then in 2022, oh my god, 3, when the new season came out, I got hyper fixated on it once more. And so I got hyper fixated on this character, at least on what I thought he was, and then I got into the book. My lord, I did not. First off, okay, now let's actually get back to the book. First off, he's obviously like I think 2 years younger than he is in the movies. I'm just going to be speaking about the book, by the way, because I have a lot of thoughts on it. I think he's 2 years younger than the movies, and he's like 16 if I understood correctly. In the movie, I think he's 18. And obviously, that's still a kid, right? So I was finding myself treading very lightly on what I thought was super like morally corrupt and what I could kind of chalk up to him having been in such dire conditions when he was a lot younger and is, and just something he was questioning himself, as a normal person does when you're kind of faced with actual really bad behavior when it comes to like morally incorrect behavior. Usually those who are, dealing with those sorts of thoughts, as far as I know, at least as far as I imagine, they're not really like questioning themselves, and they're just like, yeah, I did the right thing. And so what was interesting for me as a reader, I found myself empathizing with him because I was like, he's a little confused, but he's got the spirit. Like he's doing these things that are super weird and bad kind of, but he's trying. And then there are, I think, specific moments where you don't really get his thoughts, like when he had Sejanus' face in his hands and he was like, you're like a brother to me, where you don't get his thoughts and you're like, that's probably what he's thinking, right? So you're just stuck there thinking, oh, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe, just maybe, he is not that bad of a person in this specific book. Maybe I can give myself the benefit of the doubt to sit down and like read this piece of media without feeling like it's one of those like Suzanne Collins specials where I have to like constantly brace for tragedy. Of course, I knew that him and Lucy Gray weren't going to end up together at the end, but I kind of had a hope that he would not be that bad in this book. But again, that would kind of go against the whole point of telling what his backstory was, right? Because if he's just like mainly just morally questionable for most of the most of the book or movie, and he just never has his moment of becoming evil, then what's the point of giving him backstory? That just kind of absolves him basically of anything in his younger years. So it made sense. Hold on, I'm gonna drink a sip of tea. Sorry if you heard that. But anyway, getting back to it, I think it's just, so I was getting into it and I was thinking like, okay, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. He's just confused and he's like, he's questioning himself and he's trying to do right. He's trying to be honest. Doesn't always work out, but he's really trying his best. And we went from that to whatever it was in the end, right? I was so shook by the last scene where he goes hunting for Lucy Gray and he's just thinking that it's just never going to be solved and he's actually thinking that he might kill her. Like, oh my lord. I just, how do you go from that to that? Of course, there's like moments where it makes sense. He is just a garbage person. You can see his downfall happening from moment one, but I just didn't think that it would be so, like, I just didn't think, I think that he would take out all those emotions out on her. I thought that he would take it out on everyone else, but because she was someone that he loved, and yes, I truly believe that he loved her, I truly believe that he would not take it out on her. And so for him to go out there with his like hunting rifle and to even like try catching her, trying to say that they can talk it out, like, you're not even gonna show your true emotions. I get it. He was scared. He was confused. He was like in a paranoid state. But I really, really, I think that's what broke me. And broke like him for me, broke my trust for him as a character, when the one person he claimed to trust was the one that he raised a gun on, and he was actually, at the end of the day, fully ready to shoot her, right? That's so bad. That is so bad. How do you go from being so in love? And again, I truly do believe that he was in love, and that's why he felt like absolute garbage the entire time, to like almost killing the person that you claim to love so much. To me, it's not like it didn't make sense. It was just heartbreaking, you know? Because I expected more. I expected to get to enjoy the romance and the him not being that morally questionable yet. Even though he already was. He killed Sejanus, and it was already going downhill. But I wanted to believe that every part of him still wanted to love her and still wanted to be next to her. But my God, Lucy Gray was so smart. Like, first off, it's really interesting to me that we never really deal with everything that she did inside the arena. I think it's really interesting that we never get into like any of the trauma, which gets me questioning, was there trauma? And I think the entirety of the book, Coriolanus is out there just asking himself, like, he's kind of reading everyone's moves, right? He's incredibly smart. And to me, just, I really found myself asking, what I think he just knew everything. And so all the questions that he asked himself about Lucy Gray, I think that was all correct. Every assumption that he made about her, where he was like, she knew this and she knew that and she knew this and she knew that he killed Sejanus. I think he was totally right on the money, because I think the entirety of the book, it was being foreshadowed that Coriolanus just has a really, really good way of reading people, and he gets paranoid, yes, but he gets paranoid for a good reason. It's like he knows what's going to happen next. And so to me, the fact that he just figured out that, not figured out, but started theorizing that Lucy Gray kind of guessed what was happening, I think that was totally right on the money, the hammer on the nail. And so that got me so sad. But here's the thing, right? She's so smart. And I was thinking, does she really have trauma, or is she that brave and that smart and just seen so much that like she was just like, you know what? Piece of cake. I just outsmarted everyone. I love that. I love her as a character for that. I love that she ran away. Let's talk about her running away. Let us talk about her running away, okay? Because it means so much to me. Because you have a very toxic relationship where two people don't trust each other. Yes, Lucy Gray trusted him at first, even though I feel like her saying that she trusted him was a way to feel him out, right? To make sure that he was just sort of still in the game and he was very confident about it. But I just find myself just being so incredibly stunned at the fact that she didn't wind up dead in the end. And no, I don't want to listen to any of those theories. I don't think she's dead. I don't think she died. I think either she ran away somewhere, to the north, maybe, let's say, or something much more dark, but not in the sense that snow killed her, but more so just like, she never even met him at the hanging tree. And I think that could be plausible because a part of me, when he got to the hanging tree where they were supposed to meet, I was really asking myself, like, is she gonna come? Because he was asking himself, is she gonna come? And he like kind of caught himself panicking about it. And I think it could be, if we're gonna talk about like hallucinations, then that could be a good one. She never even came, right? And so he imagined all of those parts of them going. But that being said, I don't think he killed her. I do not think that he killed her. I saw a theory that was saying like he like put the guns into the water and that was her body. No, I don't think so. I think that like Suzanne Collins is a much better writer than that, and she would not go for something that's simple. And so to me it's kind of grotesque and ugly in a very like not good writing sort of way. It's just so simple and so, there was no sign of him being able to do that. So you just kind of ask yourself why? Why would he do that? Why would that make this any better writing? You know what I mean? And I love that they didn't end up together. I love that she didn't die. I love that he didn't kill her, okay? I love that because it just kind of shows that she outsmarted him. She ran away, and she was just she just knew what she was doing the entirety of the way through. And it's interesting to me to put together the two, some of the two main some some of the main characters from the Hunger Games, right? You have Katniss and you have Lucy Gray. And Katniss is like, she will tell you what she thinks. She's never reserved. Like she will speak about it. She is like anti establishment, anti Hunger Games, anti whatever, but Lucy Gray just plays into it. And it's so interesting to me the differences between them. And I loved that it was a Coriolanus perspective, but I also hated it at the same time because I found myself asking, I really want to know what she's thinking. All the time that she's like inside the cave and inside like the, you know, just fighting in the arena, I really wanted to know what she was thinking. I really wanted to know how she was outsmarting everyone, or like, was she singing the entire time? What was going on in her brain? Because, like, it's kind of boring to me. It's kind of because I'm just there, like, watching Coriolanus. I'm like, yeah, fine, okay, whatever. But what is she thinking? She probably had some of the least chances to win that thing. And I don't honestly, I will be real here. I don't I don't have a great recollection of whether Katniss was she definitely was not as charismatic as Lucy Gray, right? So I just found myself asking like how would the entirety of this thing turn out if A, Lucy Gray wasn't so charismatic and wasn't so talented, and B, Coriolanus wasn't quote unquote like that he didn't have pretty privilege, let's put it that way. First off, obviously we'd lose the plot of the book because so much of what happens actually happens because they're like likable people, let's say. And I'm not talking about the inner thoughts of Snow. I'm talking about like how he presents himself. But also, how would how would fans respond? How would he still be like would people be walking out of the theater with a crush on him? I know that some people still really liked him in the book even before the casting was announced and before Tom Blythe was like, had the hair and everything, but would people still feel about him the same way? Are we just is society just like so surface level that we're just like, oh, hot blonde boy, like, haha. I hope not. Um, and by the end of the book, I just found myself just being so frustrated with him because he wasn't born that way. You know what I mean? He was not born evil. He was just kind of socialized that way and bred that way. And no, not even bred that way. He was bred to be an asshole and like stuck up and capital, sure. But he wasn't naturally just like, he didn't immediately want to kill people and, you know. And so to me, that sort of conflict that he's having, where he's like so close to getting the point, but he just does not get it, is so. It's very bittersweet. It's very bittersweet because you find yourself cheering him on. You're like, come on, you got this. Come on, you got this. Come on, you got this. I know you're not that bad. Come on, come on. And then it's like, I don't know what it is about this book slash movie that gets you to just entirely forget what he becomes. And I don't know whether I should be frustrated with myself for that. Because a part of me is just like, come on, you know better. You know better. You know what he becomes. You know what Snow is. And then I found myself asking, well, maybe I didn't hate Snow that much in the movies. Just because he's just such an interesting guy. You know what I mean? The entirety of the Hunger Games franchise, you're just like sitting there thinking, why does he have so much beef with children? Why does he love the Hunger Games so much? Why is he so into whatever the hell is going on right now? And it's because of everything that has happened with him. And it's just so. I love that he just started erasing everything that had to do with her. The Sejanus part I didn't really get. Because I feel like if you have a friend like that, if you truly appreciate them or whatever, you try to keep a memory of them, right? In your heart somewhere, in your pictures, in your whatever. And like but to also erase all memories of him, I get it. It's like a metaphor. It's a new life. It's whatever. But oh my god, it's just so fucked up, right? It's not just me, right? And the third act has just me being like, oh, there was no way. There was no way to save this guy. There was no way. What were people gonna do? And the fact that Sejanus's parents kind of became his parents, and then he fucking poisoned Highbottom. Like, in a million years, I would not expect that to happen. Because let's be real, the guy wasn't even gonna be a threat. Like, Dr. Gold loved him. I mean Coriolanus. Why would you do that? Like, obviously, that is how he got to his goal. That is how he became the president. But why would you do that? Like, you realize the guy was your dad's friend. Yes, he was a little bit mean to you, but like, the man was a drug addict going through a lot of trauma after it turned out that he created the Hunger Games. Can you chill? Yeah, that was 26 minutes of me talking about the Hunger Games. And I think, like, I'll stop myself, but I just want to say that I feel really just there's a couple of main things I want to say. First off, we should have gotten longer. I know it's a really long book, and I don't mean that the book should be longer, but I just mean that the way that he went from what he went to, from what he was to what he became, was, I wish the timeline was a little bit different. And that is not to say that it's written badly. That is to say that I wish I got a little bit more time as a reader with the the kind of snow that wasn't that bad. I wish he didn't kill Sejanus in the way that he did. Second off, I'm really glad that Lucy Gray ran away. I'm really glad that they broke up. I'm really glad that at the end of the day he stayed lonely. And I find myself wondering what would happen to him if he wasn't lonely. Like, what if she came back? What if she never even left? How would it even happen? Um, but I'm just glad that, like, at the end of the day, they were like, actually, this toxic relationship is not gonna keep going, actually. Because he's dangerous to her. She's too smart for this and she deserves something better, and I hope that she found something better. You know what? Like, you're out there calling each other the loves of your lives, and I think it's really interesting that that's how things fill out, because that's how usually real life happens too. But she got lucky because she didn't die at his hand, and I think that's a beautiful example that some things that start off loving and whatever, even though there it was shaky ground, they met in very traumatic circumstances, they still deserve to end if one person is dangerous to the other, or if two people are dangerous to the other, to each other. So I think that was a good book. I enjoyed it. I left it a 5 star on Goodreads, but I was very upset over it. And I think at the end of the day, it made me feel a lot. And a book had not done that to me in a very long time. Um, Especially a fiction book. So that was good. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Got through it so fast in, I think, like 30 hours while I had work and everything. So it's not like I was just sitting and reading day and night, but that was super quick for me. And just, like, thank you, Suzanne Collins, for showing the girlies how it's done. I appreciate it. I hope to see you soon. It depends on what I'm doing next and what I love next. But thank you for listening, and I will see you all soon.